All right, hi everyone. I am Andrew, aka Knowledge Seeking Mindgasms, for the purposes of this video, and I'm going to start a new series on a book called The Socratic Method, which obviously is about the Socratic Method, and it's by a philosopher. Blanking on the name now, but her name's in the description, and so basically it's her kind of unpacking the Socratic method itself and basically explaining the different tactics that he used, the motivation behind it, and introduces new terms for her theory of what she calls psychological eudaimonism in relation to the Socratic method. This is her model by which she approaches the Socratic method. And this first paragraph, what I want to focus on is that obviously one of the tactics he uses is shame to kind of trick people into agreeing with him, which I think is interesting because it seems like more of a manipulative thing than just innocently asking people questions. He has an actual goal in mind and he has specific tactics in mind in order to achieve these goals, like I said. So, anyway, let's get into the paragraph here. So, this chapter is called The Socratic Method of Dialectic. Okay. In this study, I propose a psychological model of Socratic method. I argue for this model in 5 ways. I claim that 1, the principal aim of the method is moral improvement through self-knowledge, and there are 3 functions which serve this aim. Okay, so first of all, I did not know this because I've of course heard of the Socratic method before, but I didn't know that his implicit goal behind the Socratic method was to to basically try to get people to improve morally through increasing their self-knowledge. So this what's implicit the implicit assumption in this is that increasing your self-knowledge makes you a better person, which I am tempted to believe personally because I love learning about philosophy and I love knowledge in general. So that makes me feel superior because it strokes my ego. But I don't think that's actually true because I think even if you're just talking about knowledge in general or you're talking about self-knowledge, there are there are guaranteed to be plenty of people in the world who do not have that much knowledge, or they're dumb, or they just don't have that much self-knowledge or self-awareness, but they're still perfectly morally good people. So I don't think that having more knowledge, or specifically more self-knowledge, actually makes you a better person. So I actually disagree with the fundamental motivation behind and goal behind the Socratic method itself, and why Socrates is even having these conversations in the first place, and but well, yeah, basically the goal behind it. All right, so let's move on here. So that's the motivation behind the Socratic method, the moral improvement through self-knowledge. And he's trying to induce moral improvement through self-knowledge in his conversations with people using the Socratic method. Okay, there are the principal aim of the method is moral improvement through self-knowledge, and there are 3 functions which serve this aim. Okay, so 1, the experience of aporia. So I looked that up because I hadn't heard that word before, and it means an irresolvable internal contradiction or logical disjunction in a text, argument, or theory. Rhetoric, the expression of doubt. So he's trying to induce doubt in people, and he's trying to point out logical contradictions in their argument, basically. That's essentially what aporia means. Okay, so the 3 functions that serve the aim of moral improvement through self knowledge. The tactics that he uses are the experience of aporia or doubt or inducing doubt in people, the demand for sincerity, and the motivating effects of shame. So these are the basic psychological features that contribute to self knowledge. So this is why that I used in the title, did Socrates use shame to trick people into agreeing with him? Because he doesn't, he, at least if, as far as I can remember in the dialogues, in Plato's dialogues that I've read anywhere, anyway, I haven't read all of them, but I'm pretty sure I've read most of them, or at least a lot of them. But I never see Socrates actually saying the goal that he has in mind for why he is having these conversations with people in the dialogues in the first place. What goal is he trying to achieve? And he's trying to morally help them morally improve through increasing their self-knowledge. And since he doesn't explicitly state this, this makes it seem more manipulative to me, the Socratic method, than what the innocent questioning that I thought it was before. And all of these tactics. I mean, not necessarily that he's doing anything nefarious per se, but he's being more manipulative than I thought, because he's trying to pursue this particular goal, and he has tactics laid out for it too that he doesn't fully explain when he's talking to anyone or in the dialogues themselves, because they are just dialogues, right? So, and that's what, so to come back to shame, that's why I thought it was interesting, because he's trying to induce self-doubt in people through this psychological approach that she's going to get to, and he's trying to get people to achieve moral improvement through self-knowledge by demanding sincerity, like they take these issues seriously, inducing doubt or aporia, and using shame to make them feel bad about doubting their own positions, or probably, I would think, shame related to aporia and shame for not realizing the logical contradictions in their own argument. All right, so anyway, the demand for sincerity and the motivating effects of shame are the basic psychological features that contribute to self knowledge. And three, the main presupposition on which the method rests is a claim about human nature. So this is the claim behind his goal of of achieving more, becoming morally better through self knowledge. The reason that he wants to make people morally better through self knowledge. So this is how he gets into it. The main presupposition on which the method rests is a claim about human nature. All humans, by nature, desire the good, where good is understood as happiness, or that which conduces to happiness. Okay, so both of these, so obviously, if Socrates makes the argument, uh, increased self-knowledge more makes you a morally better person, then that begs the question, like I said, what evidence is there that increased self-knowledge makes you a morally better person? This seems like just an, if a Kantian style synthetic a priori claim, or what I kind of see as the same thing as a faith claim, believing something without evidence. So it's just an implicit assumption. It's an a priori claim. And but you would think that, but then he gets into he wants people why he wants people to morally improve themselves through self-knowledge, because he thinks that seeking more self-knowledge and trying to be seeking more self-knowledge is a way of desiring the good or happiness. So in a roundabout way, he's saying that increased self-knowledge makes you happy and morally improves you. So there is a reason behind his underlying goal for the Socratic method, but the reason is, again, it's a implicit assumption, and I'd say it's a Kantian style synthetic a priori claim, or what I see as a faith claim, that all humans desire the good. You could assume that. It seems like common sense, but you still should provide an explanation for this, especially since Socrates is all obsessed with pointing out people's logical contradictions. He himself, if he doesn't want to be a hypocrite, ironically is showing his hypocrisy by not justifying why he thinks that all humans desire happiness and all humans desire to be good. I mean, it seems like common sense, right? Maybe it's some sort of like evolutionary drive to seek happiness. But again, he doesn't provide any explanation for that. And he doesn't, again, going dating back to the pre-Socratics in ancient Greece before Socrates and Plato even came to the rise in intellectuals, uh, uh, like since the dawn of human time, probably people have been arguing about what the good is, like like virtue philosophy, what the good is, what it means to be good. And this is just Socrates' definition that other people agree with, of course, but isn't a universally accepted definition. So it's easy to disagree with his claim that the good is happiness or that which conduces to happiness, because the good can be anything you want it to be, really. The good can be um, the good can be having fun, the good can be spreading love, the good can be making money, the good can be um, getting as fucked up as possible on drugs, the good could be building buildings, the good could be being a lawyer, the good could be um, making more, making more, making oil fossil fuel companies more money because you think it's a morally fossil fuels are a morally good thing. It could be anything. Anyway, so let's go on here. So there's all humans by nature desire the good, where good is understood as happiness or that which conduces to happiness. This view is called psychological eudaimonism. So that's the psychological model that she gets into that I mentioned, right? Psychological eudaimonism. This is a psychological model that operates through Socrates' synthetic a priori claim that all humans by nature desire the good, where good is understood as happiness or that which conduces to happiness. Okay, so as part of the model of psychological eudaimonism, I offer a constructive interpretation of Socrates' moral position that involves two additional claims about his methodology. So this is where the author, she invents some new terms. This is what philosophers do sometimes. So she gets way more into the details of this, so don't worry. But this is interesting and uh, difficult to understand, perhaps, but I'm sure you'll get it. So he makes use of regulative endoxa, the common or reputable opinions, as a dialectical strategy. So endocta just means common, endoxa just means common or reputable opinions. It's basically an unnecessary word, but that's all it means. It's easy to understand. He uses endoxical premises or common or reputable, commonly or reputably acceptable premises as a dialectical strategy. People assume this, right? So therefore, this and this and this, and that's how he constructs his argument. All right. So he makes use of of regulative and docs of the common and reputable opinions as a dialectical strategy. And five, he uses verbal ambiguity in his reinterpretation of the agreed upon regulative and doxical premises. This is another way that he uses like rhetoric and philosophical and verbal sleight of hand to trick people into agreeing with him and to not necessarily even point out flaws in their logic, but change their definitions, make them more ambiguous, and then take down these straw mans of their position without anyone even realizing it. So it was brilliant, but more manipulative, like I said. Okay, so he uses verbal ambiguity, and so if you give him the definition of the good, for example, he'll make it more ambiguous and then take down your straw man, which sounds like that's what I was doing, right? But I'm just saying that he doesn't have the only correct definition of that. That's different from saying that, oh, this is actually what you mean, and let me criticize this, right? He uses verbal ambiguity in his reinterpretation of the agreed upon regulative and doxical premises. So he makes it more ambiguous than the person who he's arguing with, right? I show that the combined use of regulative and doxical premises and verbal ambiguity provides Socrates with a way to refute and to persuade the interlocutor and gives him a basis for arguing for his own moral position as represented in the dialogues. So, so basically, in a nutshell, Socrates, he is trying to induce moral improvement in people through self-knowledge because it is a moral good and you are seeking the good through self-knowledge because self-knowledge makes you happy and and not just that uh, self-knowledge is a moral good, but that it makes you happy, and happiness itself is an inherent moral good too. But even you can see there even that it's somewhat circular logic because he's saying the good is happiness and happiness is good, that sort of thing, right? Anyway, I know that's complicated, but I thought that was worth getting into. And yeah, I'm going to continue doing my series on this book, The Socratic Method, because it gets into it in way more detail than I've ever heard before. And I think it's really fascinating how this author gets into Rebecca Benson Cain, that's her name, how this author gets into all the details about this, all the tactics and psychological eudaimonism and all the terms and slash words that she invents. And yeah, it's all very interesting stuff. All right, so yeah, thanks everyone again for watching. Subscribe to the channel. A lot of you seem to watch some of the videos but don't subscribe, so please do so. It doesn't cost anything or anything like that. Click that bell to be notified when I come out with new videos. Last one I did was a clip from the other day about the professional mangler of philosophy and former mathematician James Lindsay, along with the journalist Helen Pluckrose, totally misunderstanding the idea of the concepts of social construction and gender in a chapter of their book called Cynical Theories, in which they're literally arguing that queer theory is Maoist and postmodernist. So check out that clip from that video that I put out yesterday. And for my next one, I think I'm either going to talk about a theological paper on sexism in God language, or I might for something completely different talk about the I Am Legend movie versus book, the book by Richard Matheson and the movie starring Will Smith, of course. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you have preferences of those. Otherwise, I might actually talk about the Cynical Theories book, another chapter in that sometime soon too. Anyway, thanks and everyone for watching. Oh yes, also share this everywhere, all over the fucking world, and share your mindgasms everywhere. Smash the like button, destroy it, make love to it, do whatever you want to it. And oh yeah, of course, check out my Patreon page. The link is in the description of the video as always. And like I always say, most importantly, always remember this: the funk cures all, and groove is in the heart. And Socrates was a fascinating thinker, and it's really interesting to investigate surprising aspects of the details of the Socratic method. All right, thanks everyone again, and adios until next time.